English says mama, Spanish says mamá, Mandarin says mama, Swahili says mama, Navajo says ama, and Quechua says mama. 5 different families are represented there, and 4 of them have nothing traceable in common with any of the others. This is the most famous coincidence in language. The explanation you have heard is roughly right about the babbling, but it is credited to the wrong man, and the part everybody quotes has never been tested. So today, what was really counted, who the explanation actually belongs to, and the language that flips it completely. Part 1. What somebody actually counted. In 1959, the anthropologist George Murdock pulled every word for mother and father out of his own ethnographic sample. 531 for mother, 541 for father, and he was strict. He threw out anything that looked like mama or papa, unless he could prove it was native to the language. And here's what he found. 55% of the words for mother were built on a nasal sound, an M, an N, or an NG. Only 15% of the words for father were. The father words leaned the other way, towards P and T. That is a real pattern, and family trees do not explain it. These languages sit in different families on different continents. Something else is producing the same answer over and over. Part 2. So what is doing it? The standard answer starts with the baby's mouth. The easiest vowel is the one where you just open it and let sound out. That gives you The easiest way to interrupt that is to close your lips, which needs no tongue control at all. That gives you M, B, and P. Put those together, repeat them the way babies repeat everything, and you get mamá and papá. Not because the baby is naming anyone and not in any fixed order, just because those are the first shapes a mouth can make. Then, the story goes, the parents do the rest. The baby makes a meaningless noise. The adults hear their own name in it, and they keep it. That is the version you will find everywhere. That version is usually credited to Roman Jakobson in a famous paper he gave in May 1959, answering Murdock's own call for a linguist to explain the data. And here's the problem. Jakobson did not say that. He specifically attacked it. In the paper, he calls that idea, that the child's syllables are meaningless and arbitrarily interpreted by grown-ups, a superstitious speculation. And he names the person he is arguing with, Otto Jespersen, writing in 1922. His own version puts the child in charge of the meaning. The sound is not meaningless. It starts as a noise of wanting, and the child turns it into a name for whoever answers it. Adults do matter because they hand over the ready-made nursery words and make the meaning stick. But they are not the ones who invent it, and he had a specific mechanism for why the mother word gets the M. When a baby is feeding, the mouth is full and the lips are sealed. So the only sound it can make is a nasal hum, made at the exact moment the mother is present. It is a beautiful explanation, elegant, memorable, and repeated for 66 years. Part 3. So how much of it has been tested? Almost none of it. Jakobson presented no data of his own. And that is not me being rude. That is a paper in the Journal of Child Language. Babies have been recorded during feeding many times, but to study swallowing, not speech. Nobody has ever published an acoustic analysis asking whether that nasal hum is actually there. And the one study that went hunting for early mama, sounds found them in crying instead, and the evidence does not sit comfortably with it. In the largest cross-linguistic babbling corpus of its kind, 20 infants across 5 languages, The M sound leads in only one of those 5 groups. There is a duller version available too. Babies do sound nasal a lot of the time, and the soft palate does sit open at rest, but so does yours. Closing it is something you do actively every time you speak, and babies are already doing it at 2 months, closing it for a scream and leaving it open for a whimper. The nasality needs no feeding story at all. One more, because you will see it cited as proof. In 2016, a landmark study looked for sound and meaning links across 4,298 languages. It gets quoted as confirming the mama pattern. It never tested the word mother. Mother is not in the list. Then in 2023, a kinship database called KinBank tested it properly. 3,000 words for mother and father across 1,022 languages, with the family tree controlled 4. The gender split is real. It is just not the split we were told. Mother words do lean towards na and nga. Father words do lean towards pa and ta. But ma, the one everybody quotes, turned out to be no more likely to mean mother than father. Part 4, which brings us to Georgia. In Georgian, mama means father, data means mother. And it is not a recent accident, because both forms reconstruct back to Proto-Carvelian. They have been that way around for as long as we can see. But watch what did not happen. Georgian did not throw the labials away. Babwa and papa are both there, and they both mean grandfather. The sounds did not disappear. They moved up one generation, which is the whole point. If these words come from babbling, then which relative each babble lands on should be up for grabs. And it is. In Australian languages, mama very often means father. In Turkish, mama means baby food. Japanese shows the same thing across time. 1,300 years ago, the word for mother was papa. Regular sound change turned the middle into a W, and by the 11th century people said fawa. Then it got dragged back. By the 1500s, fafa had returned, and a Portuguese dictionary printed in Nagasaki in 1603 lists both forms. Only after that did the first sound soften to an H, giving modern haha. Part 5. So is it babbling or is it inheritance? Some researchers argue these words were never reinvented. They say mama and papa were coined once, at the dawn of speech, out of exactly the babble sounds we have been talking about. And then, because every generation of children relearns them straight off their parents' lips, they never got worn down the way ordinary words do. The linguist Larry Trask gave the standard answer, and it is about how fast words change. Take Proto-Indo-European 6,000 years ago, a language we understand well. Its word for woman survives almost nowhere recognizable. The English descendant is queen. So if ordinary words barely survive 6,000 years, a word surviving 100,000 would have to be immune to change in a way nothing else is. And there is a simpler answer. We can watch these words being made right now. Welsh lost its inherited father word, replaced it with tad, and has since coined dada alongside it. And Trask's best move is a prediction. If these words come from babble, they should attach to grandparents, aunts, uncles, and older siblings, but essentially never to a son or a daughter. Because when the baby is babbling, it has no younger relatives yet. And that is exactly what we find. So here is the honest scoreboard. The pattern is real, and the best modern test made it stronger, not weaker. Babbling still explains it better than anything else. But the nursing mechanism has never been tested. The most cited modern study never measured this at all. and the one sound everybody quotes turns out not to pick a parent. Part 6. What this actually means if you are learning a language. It is tempting to conclude that words sound like what they mean. Resist that. Sound and meaning do line up more often than linguists used to admit, and mama is one of those cases. But a tendency is not a rule, and it is not a shortcut. Almost all of your vocabulary is still arbitrary. There is something genuinely useful here, though. A handful of words in every language are shaped by mouths rather than by history, and those are the ones you know before you start. That handful is where the free ride ends, and that is where a teacher earns their money. Not with the easy handful, but with the long, unglamorous middle, where nothing is intuitive, and you need somebody to keep you moving. My Ataki link is in the description. Your homework. Find out what a baby in your target language is expected to say first, and whether it matches the adult word. Tell me in the comments, especially if yours does something strange. And if you want more of this, subscribe, because next time, why English has 2 words for almost everything, why one of them always sounds posher, and the exact historical event that did it. Sources are below. See you in the next one. Nos vemos.